Welcome back to the Fear and Beer podcast,
where we discuss all things Halloween Horror Nights, horror movies, and just a little bit of beer.
So kill the lights, grab a cold one, and join us as we dive into this mad world we love.
I'm Nick.
I'm Seamus.
And I'm Jamie.
Like scary movies.
Uh-huh.
Here's Johnny.
It's alive! It's alive! It's alive!
You miss me.
Aren't you drinking?
I never drink. Why?
And as a reminder to all listening, if you want to help us to continue growing as a podcast, don't forget to leave us a 5-star review on whichever streaming platform you use.
To stay up to date with us and all of our episodes, be sure to follow all of our socials. You can find us on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook at Fear and Beer Pod.
Feel free to reach out to us. We love to interact with you all.
Haven't lost our touch.
Yeah, all right, here we are, 7 days out from Halloween Horror Nights, thus kicking off our 1 week until Halloween Horror Nights Podathon. We have a lot of episodes coming up for you. We have a lot of good stuff. We have Guess What's in the House, which is going to be today. We got over or unders, exceed expectations, hot takes, hype lists for days. We got a new draft this year, so we got a lot of stuff to cover. These episodes will be a little bit different. We are not going to be doing, call-in segments and speculation scuttlebutt. We're not even going to be going into beer because honestly, we're just banging these episodes out. We're going to get them out to you on that last week until the event. So let's just jump right in. So guess what's in the house? Quick little thing. We are going to guess the facade / first house, first room, because some of them, the facade of the monsters, is like the sticker and stuff like that. So we're going to kind of guess what the first room would be, and then we're going to go over some must-haves for each house. So stuff that we view as needs to be in this house. So we are going to do that. At the end of this episode, we will be announcing the winner of our raffle. We did a little raffle. If you weren't aware, I'm sorry that you missed out, but we are going to be giving away a 3-house Unmasking the Horror Tour with us. So stick around because we are going to announce that at the end of this episode. So let's get into it. Yeti, Campground Kills. That's the first on my list. Facades. Do you guys have any guesses as to what you think this facade should be? Or that first little room? Right when you walk in, what are you picturing for this house?
Trees, a yellow gate busted open with a don't trespass sign.
Okay.
And maybe some sort of Camp Crystal Lake style campground
Signage
stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe a little bit of gore on the sign. Maybe
Rocky
a little
Mountain
play
oysters.
on words or whatever. Yep.
Goat balls. We are not far. I had something similar. All I put was, mine was pretty vague. I said wooded area with scare actor and a trailer, because I view it
Okay.
I don't think the horror has hit yet, so it's going to be, if you think to kind of maybe Graveyard Games or Us, where there was that entrance with that one actor out there kind of setting the tone for what's going on. But I see us walking into the woods, or at least walking into a campsite or something along those lines. I mean, it's called Campground Kills, obviously, Nick, that it's going to be a goddamn campground in the woods, but I think that is the way that we enter it. What would be you, Jamie? What do you got for the front?
I was kind of thinking that same vibe as well, but I was thinking maybe park ranger station type esque that you could walk into, or maybe having that at some point in the house. But definitely that wooden area, the cabin feel, the trees, the dark forest. Seamus, I like the no trespassing little gate sign and stuff like that. That was a good little. I see I'm picturing what you're doing here. I like it.
So, other than the facade, what are some must-haves for this house? What are some kills, some scenery things, some settings? What do you think has to be in this house? We are gonna get to see this stuff. Obviously,
I mean, outside of Yetis.
Yeah, other than a Yeti.
I mean, I think the clear and obvious choice is they need to get the ambiance right, the smell, and the sounds. So I mean, we need Yeti calls happening from out in the distance in the woods. You need the crickets. You need the typical noises you get from being out in a campground. I can imagine going by a campsite and having fire burning down, and you get that noise, that crackling noise. Obviously with the gory hands roasting over the fires for no reason, but you know, I think that's a given. You need that. You need to set the stage of it being, if not an active campsite, like, you know, either an off season. People aren't supposed to be camping in there, so maybe people are camping off season. And you know, they're obviously, that's why there's no trespassing sign, and because there are active Yetis in the off season, that's why they're not supposed to be there. So I'm thinking almost like, kind of like what you were saying with the park ranger thing. Like, you might have park ranger characters that are like telling you, you can't be here, you got to get out of here.
The
Like,
ranger station, the big tower, the spotlight.
Yeah.
I think the purpose of this house was like, the idea is we need to get to the ranger station, so I think that'll be like the finale of the house.
Yeah,
is getting to the ranger station.
I was on the
Now,
right track here.
If we are going to be safe, or if we're going to live in this house, I don't know which way it's going to go yet, but the ranger station, sure, got to be in there. I put, this is like, I think it was from Jason X. I want to see a sleeping bag like over a fire.
Nice.
Like, I want to see some creative campfire kills. Like, I want to see somebody with like marshmallow sticks coming through their eyes. Like, I know it's like, it's weird because like, why would a Yeti do that? But like, it's weird because it's Horror Nights, so it has to be there. But smells I had with you too. I was like, I need the campfire smell. I want like a toasted marshmallow smell, because there has to be a campfire
definitely
kill. Like an axe through the heart, axe through the head, something like that, with like Yetis using the camp supplies or whatever. I mean, it's going to be a schlocky style house.
Absolutely. Yeah, definitely.
I need like some sort of like cabin setting.
Yep.
Like, I'm curious if it's going to be like a cabin and trailers, or just like a campground with trailers.
I'm sure there'll be cabins and like walking through some of that type of stuff. I mean, if you think about the original Yeti house, you kind of went through like not only the mountains, but you also went through like the huts and stuff. So it's like they'll have the varying facades. I mean, as long as they got airstreams, tents will be a big thing too. Like, I want to see a shredded tent with like people missing, destroyed Yeti cooler. How do you not have like a Yeti cooler in a Yeti house about camping?
And there
product placement, man.
Right. There is not talks, but confirmation that in this house there will be sort of a Yeti family. So there's going to be like little children Yeti in there. So like, I want to see the children Yeti like
ripping people to
children,
shreds.
like killing the kids. Like, a whole family is being like torn apart by the Yetis. So like, Mama Yeti is just destroying Mom, and the Dad Yeti is just eating the dad, and then you have like the little baby Yeti just like taking toys and like stabbing the baby. I want something weird, twisted like that.
That comedy movie, was it like Harry and the Hendersons or some shit?
Oh yeah,
like just do that. Like, give me like fucked up Harry and the Hendersons.
So those are for Yeti. So let's move along now to The Exorcist Believer. This one's a little bit tricky.
This one was tough.
All we can go off of is the trailer. So the facade, what are we thinking there? I know it's tougher to kind of gauge, but for me, I'll kind of throw mine out. I think even in the trailer, you get sort of a voiceover of like Chris being like, yeah, I've done this before. I kind of almost think that we'll get a shot of like the original Exorcist house with the voiceover of Chris being like, I've done this before, alluding to the fact that it's a flashback, but we're filling a room with an old Exorcist style thing. It's recognizable. You can have the tune jamming. I don't even know how it goes. I just watched the
jamming,
But I think that's kind of where it would kick off if it does go the direction of including the original. But what do you guys think?
I'm still convinced that it's going to be very much the new movie, but I think it's going to be like a prequel-esque to the new movie. So it's not going to be like a ton of scenes from the movie. Again, I've said this before, so it's me just rehashing the same information, but I think it's going to be that. So you're going to get like characters potentially from the new movie, but like only in reference. So that way when you watch the movie, you'll get some of the stuff. You'll remember, oh, that makes sense. I saw that in the house. Now, I'm not saying that they necessarily like were given specific things from the studio, but I have a feeling that they were given the ability to pick certain things to say, hey, these are the things that are going to be in the movie. You can use these various things as reference to maybe reference some of the things, that you're going to see in the movie. So that way it kind of ties into it a little bit. But I don't think we're going to get a whole lot of, physical scenes that you were going to see in the movie in the house. I just don't think they can do that. I still don't see a reason why they could get away with that, because how can you put a bunch of stuff in from a movie that hasn't been released yet? That's my biggest thing. But I think that's what's going to be. We might see some things referenced from the original movies, but I think it's going to be pretty separate of like the Reagan story.
I think so too.
Yeah. So what do you think about the entrance?
It's kind of tough with this
the
one.
facade too.
Yeah.
Because I had watched the trailer only once or twice, and I probably should have watched it again before thinking about this and stuff like that, but I kind of think we might get that wooden entrance again, because in the beginning of the trailer, when the girls go into the middle of the woods, they don't remember anything, all that kind of stuff. I think it might be some sort of like that, and then they're coming back to the house, talking to the parents, all that kind of stuff. It's just really hard to think of something in the sense of not really knowing what you're going to be going off of.
Yeah, so this is tough. So I did rewatch the trailer, so I guess must-haves in this house. The wood setting, I mean, that's primarily how these two girls get infected, I guess, by the
For the must-haves,
possessed.
I put
That's
more
the right
stuff,
word.
yeah.
So we obviously have to have something in there. We have to have something in the church scene in the trailer. That was a big thing, and that was my question mark of like, maybe this is the entrance. Maybe we walk into a church setting where it's the girl just saying like, the body and the blood, the body and the blood,
Okay.
and that's kind of like
She's
how we
like
get in
waiting
there.
outside kind of thing, like taking you in, or...
Just like we're walking down like the in between the pew aisles,
I
and like
see.
there's little people sitting there and stuff like that, and some of them are real, some aren't. But that has to be in the house at some point, right? The body and the blood.
Yeah.
That was pretty prominent in the trailer. Something with the hospital.
Yep.
Where they're kind of separated, but they're going towards each other. And I think lastly, the ceremony scene to kind of do the actual exorcism with Chris.
Yes.
They did a pretty cool little chalk outline of different, and even they said in the trailer, like, all cultures have their own different methods for doing an exorcism, so we're going
Right.
to do them all. So I think it's going to be like a very fast-paced ending where it's just chaos and dark and stuff like that.
I think so too.
But this one's a lot trickier, so let's just move on to the next one then. So this one, Blood Moon Dark Offerings. One of the two houses where I guess one of the 3 or 4 houses that we don't really know exactly 100% what it's going to be like, but we have a good idea of it. So facade, what do you think that first, when you walk in, what are you picturing for Blood Moon, Seamus?
Yeah, this is a tough one because it's almost lending itself to the same setting as Yeti. Not as campy, obviously, but I still think woods out in the open.
We're getting a lot of woods this year.
Yeah, I think The Witch, where you have
Yep.
the last scene of that movie where Anya Taylor's character is walking out into the coven of witches. I think of that almost, but I have a feeling that they're going to do something probably a little out of left field with it. I don't think it's necessarily going to be that. I think honestly, I could see them doing like a 16th century New England village, 17th century New England village, where you kind of walk into like a big, I don't know what you call it, but like spiked fences, like big pillared fences,
I'm seeing
and you
it
walk
now.
into a village, and you have I think you said with the first one, like you have scare actors kind of there to be like, beware the coven or the cultists are out in force tonight. Like it is a blood moon. The blood moon is in force, and like I feel like you're gonna have some of that to kind of set up the shit that's gonna come next. But yeah, I still think it's gonna be another outdoorsy in the woods at night type deal. I don't think it's going to be a whole lot different than Yeti when it comes to that.
I had a fun time thinking about this one, honestly. The way I picture it, I feel like they're going to do a lot, kind of like how they did with the Monsters House last year. We learned about it in the Unmasking the Horror Tour, that if you look at different scenes, you could see the moon actually rise. I think it was the moon rising higher and higher in the background that you could see. And I'm thinking for the entrance for this one, kind of like how you said, another wooded theme, but I think it's going to be the darkish, grayish, bluish colors with the moon, with the red kind of like peeking over, still kind of rising and stuff like that. And I think as you go through the house, it's going to start rising and stuff. I'm thinking a lot of black and red lighting when you first walk in to kind of illuminate maybe that bit, kind of like how you were saying, that like mid-century Gothic, I guess, setting, or maybe they're going to use it like a shack, like they're going to be like the the woodsland kind of thing, like the witch, kind of like settings like that and stuff like that when you're walking in, kind of having the occultists leading you in, trying to explain to you everything that's going to be you're getting into.
Yeah, I kind of had a picture of almost like Dead Man's Pier, where you walk into like a city center.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I view like, you know, how we had, you know, the widow kind of off in the distance. You could see her. I kind of see that with a big red blood moon.
Yeah.
Kind of rising up over the town. I could see it looking very impoverished, because that's the basis of this story, right? Is that people aren't giving in on the sacrifice anymore, and they're kind of hitting hard times. So I see that being like a town center, and instead of that big statue of the widow, it's almost like this big, almost Blair Witchy like style symbol that's like handcrafted, very witch based and witchcraft.
I think you'll have like pyres like on fire and that sort of thing.
Yep,
like,
yep. I see like
people being burned.
Same thing with Dead Man's, where there's like houses.
Yeah.
You could have like a window with, you know, people just kind of staring at you.
Yeah.
'Cause you're kind of an outsider of sorts. So
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
What if they go like full Nick Fantasy and make this the village?
Oh God.
That's kind of how I'm picturing it too, and I love the village.
I'm half joking because it feels kind of like that.
That is like a dream come true.
Those reds being so prominent in the movie too, I get to see it
There's
blending
like
in really
a
well with it.
porcupine-styled villain in this house that looks like Sonic the Hedgehog.
I'm just thinking like the last scene is just some dude in like a modern day outfit going,
If
"You've made it."
that's this, I'm gonna wear a giant yellow cloak throughout this thing, because apparently that's the bad color, or that's the color that wards off
that keeps them away. Yeah.
other people. But yeah, I could see that being sort of the entrance in my mind. A couple must-haves. I did like a room of all cloaked people,
I have the same
where
thing.
like some are dummies and some
Yeah,
aren't.
this is
Yes.
like Seamus's
Kinda like
fear.
us.
That's what gets me.
I hate I hate the fake out
Yep.
like mannequin stuff.
Like-
They got me in Graveyard Games with it. They got me in the Us house with it. Like, so it works. It's an effective scare for sure, and you know it's coming too. Like, that's the hardest part.
And I know you've seen it, kind of like the as above, so below style, where they're walking
Yeah.
in the
Yeah, yeah.
catacombs with
Yeah,
kind of like
yep.
their pews and stuff on the side, sitting in there. Ugh, it gets me
Yeah,
every time.
or like-
that kind of stuff scares me.
There's again more of like a video game thing. So for my video game people out there, I don't know the actual game it's from, but I saw somebody playing something, and there was a bunch of mannequins. And it was
God.
one of those effects where like you walk by the mannequin and you turn around and its head is turned to look at you. You don't see it turn, but it's implied, so you know that it's happening. You can't see it happen. It's almost kind of like, I don't know if you're a Doctor Who fan. I'm not a huge Doctor Who fan, but those angels, that same effect where like they follow you only when you're not looking. So I could see like that potentially kind of finding its way into
the
it too.
unknown is scary. It's like real person, fake person. I don't know.
And then I also had sort of like a dancing, chanting ceremony room, so, like being a part of their ritual.
Circle of people.
Yeah, again,
I'm
being a
seeing it. I'm
circle.
seeing it.
Yeah, I mean that's really all. This is like another sort of unknown one. I figured, Seamus, this would kind of be your house.
Probably.
This is like-
I still think this is going to be... I don't want to say it's going to be my surprise house, because I think there's a couple others that kind of lend themselves to be that. This one I think I'm expecting maybe more than I should be.
I think I might be too.
I
I'm
think
really
I
excited
may
for this
over
one.
expect and it might under deliver, but I can't imagine it doing...
Tune in
as-
for a future episode.
Yeah, I can't imagine it being as bad as Coven, but I think Coven tried too much with not enough. I think they tried to do too much, and I think this one, as long as they try to like not do too much or throw too many things in it at once, it'll probably be okay. But they have to kind of just stick to the theme, like keep it, mid-century New England, or keep it mid-century wherever, but or even just do like old England, like do like an old English countryside type deal, and keep it that theme. We'll be fine. But yeah, I don't know. We'll see. This could very well be my favorite house of the year. It could just land somewhere in the middle. I don't think it'll be bad enough where I'm like, oh, this is awful. But
No. All right, so let's move to the big one, Stranger Things 4.
oh, buddy,
What do we think? I mean, this one we have the most stuff to kind of pick from. So what do you think the entrance of this house is going to be?
That's a good question. Because really, like, what in the season?
Where are we going to pick the story up?
I mean, maybe Max's like trailer park area.
Yep.
Like maybe you walk by that.
To see the
maybe
Chrissy
that's
scene.
kind of like, and you kind of get that. Yeah, sorry, just Max lives in that. It's her neighborhood, but Eddie,
Correct, yeah, they
but
live
the other
across from each
girl
other.
also. Yeah, so I'm sorry. I could see us kind of starting there, and maybe it alternating between like the regular Earth, regular world, and the upside down, and kind of see both, and kind of get that Christy wake up thing happening at that point. But then again, I could also see them starting. That's a good question, because I mean, where else would you start? Like, because they're all over the place in this season.
Yep.
You've got Russia, you've got West Coast, you've got Hawkins. So it's. I have to imagine this house is going to be pretty much set in Hawkins the whole time.
Yep.
But you never know.
Jamie, what do you think the entrance of this house is going to be?
So I had kind of mentioned it before, how I pictured this house, how I wanted it to be, at least, or when I was seeing an episode. We're watching it now too in the background playing, so I was a little distracted by it. But I personally think it would be really cool if you walked into the rainbow room with all the kids killed by one, even though you don't know that at that point, but all the kids in white laying around, all the kind of blocks and every kind of different thing, set up the mind games and all that kind of boggling stuff. You'll have the two-way mirrors like they had in there. You'll have 11 standing in there. You'll have number 1 standing in there. I feel like it could lead really well into there and then going into the different parts. But I could also see it leading into Victor Creel's house and kind of taking you a little bit of the back way in and kind of starting
point.
starting
I didn't think
there
of that.
too.
Yeah,
That was my pick.
Is that what you were thinking?
The Creel house.
Yeah, that makes
Has to.
sense.
Yep.
That makes more sense.
Has to be the entrance of the Creel house.
Those
with
are my
the
two
big
theories.
rose
Yes.
kind of painted on the not painted, but was it water stained glass?
Yes.
Stained glass window. With
It
the
kind of
rose.
is like the It house of the season, so that makes sense. Yeah, I could see
it
that.
starting there. Whether we're in the Upside Down or not, I think the main villain obviously is Vecna, so I think that's going to be a main proponent as opposed to the other Stranger Things houses where it's like it's more characters and some villains. Like this is a very hard-on,
Distinct,
like character versus villain story.
Yeah, and I think that brings up a good question too. And I don't know if you're going to get to this or not, but when do we think we see Vecna? Do we get Vecna early and often, or do we only get Vecna once?
I don't think he's going to come in right away, honestly. I don't
think so either.
I think we get him once. I think we get him at the end.
Finale.
I think there's going to be a big finale.
I think there's it's going to be a lot of focus on the kids. You're going to get a lot of the kids. You're going to get Hopper lookalikes and that sort of thing. But then I don't think you get Vecna till the very, very end.
I do think, though, that in some instance we're going to get a dummy Vecna or a body double kind of Vecna hanging up from the ceiling in the big thing that his little thing that he hangs in with all the
I think that's why I think that's your final scene.
I think that might be. I don't know if they're going to be pretty cool if they used a real person for that,
I mean,
but I don't know how they can do with all that.
Well, they did the vampire stuff, and then they did the.
They do use the harnesses and stuff.
They do have the harnesses for certain things, so I could see him doing like a harness trick, and have him come at you, or just have him be pulled up into the air.
Yeah,
I could see that happening. Or not to sorry to interrupt, but you could also see like some of the kid actors doing like he's like levitating them. So there's ways to do it, and I think you'll probably be surprised kind of how they pull that off. It won't necessarily just be, hey, I'm going to throw somebody at you. We're going to actually lift them up into the air. That's why this has to be in a studio, a soundstage.
So must-haves for this house. What are some other things that have to be in this house? You think?
Eddie singing
on the trailer.
that
has to be. That has to be in it. If
That's
it's not
top
in
of
it,
the list.
yeah. I mean, that. How do you not have that in it? Vecna, obviously. I still think we do need to get a Russian scene.
I put a Russia room. I think we need to get a snowy
I think we
Russia
need at
room.
least one Russia room with the Demogorgon.
Yep.
Like we need that at least, or whatever it's a Demogorgon, right?
Demogorgon,
I don't know if we'll get the Demogorgon, but I think we might get a Russia scene of them underneath in the cells and stuff like that, kind of going through those hallways. And
Either
whatnot.
one. Like what I think is I think we walk through it and it's the pit where they fight. I think that's where you're gonna see it. You're gonna have a bunch of like Russian scare actors and the Demogorgon, and they're fighting each other. I think that's what you're gonna get.
I'm curious. I think we should get the Victor Creel, or it's not really Victor Creel, but the Creel in jail scene. Something like that, just a little jail. Like you're
I can
walking
see that.
through. It's almost sounds a little.
I mean, the problem is with a show like this, there's just so much in it that it's hard to fit everything in a house.
Yeah.
So they're gonna have to really be careful about what they choose to include and what they don't, because there's gonna be someone that's like, "Oh, you didn't do this," and it's like, "Whoa!"
We couldn't.
It's like they can't do everything. So they gotta walk a fine line. It's kind of like when they did the Hill House. house. It's the same thing where there was so many things in Hill House to be able to pull that off, and I think they did it pretty well. But this is such a big property, and it's such a big deal. I mean, they've done it 3 times in 5 years or 6 years, whatever it is. So
yeah, I think that the Billy's grave with like Max like levitating up in the air.
That's a big
That's something that's in there. Surfer Boy Pizza with 11 in the tub, because that kind of connects the West Coast to the. So I don't think we're gonna get a lot of West Coasty stuff, but I mean you have to have 11, and she's not really there too much. But in the Surfer Boy Pizza fighting,
and I almost think that we're not gonna get the flashback stuff. I know you keep saying you want to do that, and I get it. Like I think I understand.
I love that aspect.
It would be cool, but I feel like they're gonna do a lot of new stuff. I don't think they're gonna go back to that. But I could be wrong. I mean, they very well could do a scene of small 11 or just like just the toys and stuff, the broken glass. I could totally see that happening, but I think personally, I'm not sure we're gonna see it. Maybe the insane asylum. They go to that manor at some point.
I would be interested if like that very first scene, because we're watching it right now, we have Dear Billy playing in the background, but if the opening scene to the house is Billy's grave with running up the hill playing, and her like starting to get like, you have the Vecna voice playing over like Max.
Yeah, I could see that. Yeah.
I think we need to have. I think we're gonna have some sort of fight scene in the dance, like where they had the dance, because that's where 11 fights Vecna.
Oh, true.
I put that we need to have a high school scene, scene in the high schoolers scene with the kids and stuff like that.
Yeah.
That's really the biggest thing, and that's where 11 and Vecna finally.
Yes.
First
I mean, we totally should get a
together.
Bloody Billy actor at some point.
God,
so I mean,
I hope.
So that could be like that possession intro, like introducing Vecna. This is what they do. Obviously, we know, but to the house standards. So
like, this is kind of where I'm saying, like, there's going to be so many things that we all just want different things, and we're just not going to get everything that we think.
One more thing, I do think we're going to get a scene somehow where it's going to be showing from the roof of someone's feet hanging down when they're crawling from the upside down.
True.
From in the trailer, from the upside down.
They'll do some sort of effect where you kind of get like people sticking like falling through the hole.
Yeah, I think we'll go through that transition. I think there's going to be a hallway that is the same room but flipped on both sides. Mirrored, so we walk. It looks like we're walking into the upside down through that hole. Almost.
That's almost like, I would say that's a guarantee. Like that's definitely going to happen. This is an effect you have to pull off.
The last thing I think. No, that's about it.
I think that's all I had.
I think that's really all I had for that one. So let's move on to Dueling Dragons. Choose Thy Fate.
Dueling Dragons.
Facade.
My favorite house.
What are we thinking for this entrance?
It's gonna be 2 dudes standing on like cliff sides, like throwing bolts of lightning at each other, screaming, "I will get you!" Like it's gonna be that. It's just exactly what it's gonna be.
I think it's the fairy forest.
Do you?
Because that's where supposedly Merlin is turned into this oak tree, hidden oak thing. I think that's kind of the entrance, because supposedly the house picks up where the storyline of the ride left off. So now Merlin is trapped in this hidden oak, and the 2 Blizzrock, Pyrock are trying to go to Merlin's castle to get his enchanted book. So I think the entrance will be in that fairy forest where Merlin is like kind of warning us, like, don't go that way, there's danger ahead. They don't know what they're after. The curse is. It's like the Mummy. The curse is real.
Get out of here.
I could see, like walking up into like a wooded, again, more woods, a wooded area with an oak tree, and the voiceover being Merlin, like, you must choose your path. Like,
is that where we break left and right? I mean, this thing has to have 2 paths.
I can't imagine. I still don't think it's going to.
So this is my thing that I was thinking of how the ride is and picturing how it is. It's still similar if you've been on Hagrid's, to where you walk into like the castle-esque, the brick walls, all that kind of stuff, and then it would split you off right at the end before you get to the ride carts. I think that you're going to start walking in to Merlin's castle, or whose ever castle specifically, and then going in there. I think you're going to be transitioned with the temperature play, with the fire and the ice room, and I think from there you're going to be able to choose your way after you walk into the castle.
This is the one thing where I think we all disagree.
And then I think it's going to take you from there into the mystical fairy forest.
I don't see. I'm still convinced this is just. It's going to be the same as it was with the Monsters House last year. They're going to give you a different ending, and I still think that's what they're going to do. I think
that was my first theory. Honestly,
I think they realized that, hey, people liked it. Let's just do it again. and they're gonna find a way to say, well, in this scene you get Blizzrock winning, or whatever the hell his name is, and then this one you get this guy winning, and I think that they're gonna play with the hot and cold thing,
Yes,
but I don't
definitely.
think there's gonna be two completely separate paths.
Yeah. So let's get into must-haves, I guess, in this one. So what must this house have?
Well, I'm gonna let you guys talk. I don't really care, to be honest with you. So like, I don't have anything that I think needs to be in it. I mean, if you want an answer, play with the temperature. If you're gonna kind of do that deal, like give me hot rooms, give me cold rooms. I keep making noise, but that's kind of like the only thing I really think it needs to have.
I mean, we have to have like obviously we're going to the castle, so we have to have a big castle facade. I want to go in through like a drawbridge or something like that. I think there needs to be a dungeon, like a torture.
Oh, there needs to be
dungeon.
dragons too. Like I should have brought that.
Yeah, there's
got to
be two dragons.
Dragons have to be in
I think
this
the
too.
dragons are the finale. You know, just one
I think so,
big
too.
puppety thing. But we don't need that throughout all the rooms because we talked about that. That's,
I mean,
that's a tough villain
if you
to be
wanna
afraid
you
of.
wanna win me over with this one, give me the last scene, the two like these two massive dragon puppets like battling, and one of them wins. And it depends on when you either get the ice dragon or the fire dragon.
Yep.
If you want to win me over, make that crazy over the top, and I'll be like, give me fucking actual fire or
Yeah.
like
That's what I was gonna say.
spray or-
The
I
mummy
think it
ride
was
can do
gas
it.
masks at the beginning.
yeah, give me like legitimate like a real battle scene.
Give me heat.
Yeah,
Give
give
me
me
fuel,
fuel, give me fire, give
give
me
me
that what you desire. Yeah.
I really hope the
Metallica.
forest. I
Rock
really
on.
hope the forest is very. How do I explain it? Not like Alice in
mystical.
Wonderland kind of mystical, but like kind of those bright colors, the mushrooms, the different flowers, the trees, all that kind of stuff. I really hope
Trippy.
that it starts out exactly trippy and kind of mystical, but I hope to get more of the theming for the horror play I guess they want to be using for this dragon's house. I hope it kind of turns into a dark forest. I
Yeah.
think that'd be a really cool little aspect.
Yeah. So let's move along then to Chucky Ultimate Kill Count.
Okay.
So this one's a little bit trickier. It's the way the paths at Fast and Furious are set up. It's like split 1 and 2.
Yes.
We originally thought maybe season 1, season 2, but that's not the case. So the basis is pretty much that Universal Orlando is putting on a haunted house for Chucky. He shows up, realizes that the killing is not actually happening. He gets pissed off, he takes it over, and he actually kills people. So the entrance way over in Hollywood is like this big facade of all these Chucky good guy boxes.
Yes.
That's not really something we can do necessarily in the space that we are given. So I think it would be cool if we're walking down like a toy store aisle and the boxes are left and right of us.
That's how I think
And
we're
that's
gonna get
kind
it.
of how we lead into it. And this is all voiceover of Chucky being like, welcome to my house, blah, blah, blah. And then,
Yep.
like, halfway through, I think the halfway point is where it shifts a little bit. But that's my view of the entrance of the Chucky house. Is you're walking through, like, a toy store, and the boxes are to your left and your right. And some move, some don't, but you get voiceover.
I
effects.
almost thought of like, rather than a toy store, a toy factory,
Yeah.
and you have like the conveyor belts and like the different like Chucky dolls are being made.
Assembled.
That'd be cool.
And it's almost like Chucky took over a factory and he's created like a kill house out of it.
Yeah.
So you've got a bunch of the Chucky boxes lined up like you're saying, but same idea. And then you have him over the PA system going like, "Ha, this is Chucky," and he's doing his fucking lines and one-liners
Buy
and
my
shit.
chili.
Right, right.
I
I,
think
want
we
to be
get-
your friend.
Yeah.
Do you think we get? I don't mean jumping in on anybody's questions, but do you think we get Jennifer Tilly doll at all in this?
Yes, I think Tiffany will definitely be.
You
in
think
it.
Tiffany will be in it?
definitely
Yeah, I
in
think
it.
so
Yes.
too.
See, I don't
I do.
think so, but we'll see. So what I view as this house is, I think that first gap is going to be the house that Horror Nights was putting on, and then the second half is when Chucky takes it over. He's like, "Fuck you guys, you're not killing anybody. Now it's time to show you how the real kill count."
Did they
is."
say? Are they splitting this one up kind of like the?
I mean, I'm just going off of the way it's laid out because we have to have that gap still. Like there's
Yeah.
still that open like area.
No, it's true. I could see them throwing something. It would be. It's an interesting element because it is outdoors technically. So like, almost like maybe getting something unique there. That's part of the house.
Yeah.
But you're right. I could see that too. I could see it being like a certain thing one way and then a certain thing a different way.
Because it's going to be very meta. He gets upset that people aren't actually dying in the house, and then he takes over the people, possesses them,
Yeah.
and then he makes kills actually happen.
I think the split way, how they're gonna do it, I think they're gonna kind of do him like how he had like his like stand up like kind of thing. I think they're gonna have him in a booth. They're gonna have like an animatronic kind of like talking and being like, oh, like now this is how we actually like get shit done, and then the next part leads into him kind of leading us through the house and killing the people and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So let's move along now to Dr. Oddfellow's Twisted Origins.
Alrighty.
So we already have an idea of kind of how we start this house. We're sort of going to be entering the circus, quote unquote, through the tent underneath the bleachers.
Yes.
And that's when it's sort of revealed that, oh wait, this is not a normal circus. Crazy things are happening. I think, I'm trying to think of like different fun kills, but I think it would be fun if there was like a strong man with like a sledgehammer slamming it down onto somebody's head.
Yeah.
And just like finding ways to take these characters and twist them into murderers. So that's how I would kind of have it started, where it's like, maybe not just that instance, but a couple iterations of like, oh, we're not supposed to be seeing that. Like, I feel like we're going to walk with the bleachers to our left, and this character is going to be behind the bleachers, and it's just giving us that visual of like behind the scenes stuff like that.
Yeah.
But what else do we think that?
I think we're walking into a big like 3-ring, like almost like a circus tent. I think you're walking into a circus tent, to be honest with you, or at least like a creep show, like a freak show. Like I said it before. I think of like AHS freak show. Like I think of that. You're gonna walk into a freak show, and there's gonna be a whole bunch of different like Dr. Oddfellow's odd creations or some shit. I know that's not exactly what we're getting to yet, but I imagine like, oh shit, I had the idea in my head and then I lost it.
That's what happens when we have so many
either way,
different
that I
ideas.
think, I mean, that's what I think like the facade's gonna be anyways, and it's gonna be like a big, like almost like House of a Thousand Corpses, where you have like that big like the big sign, the road sign that says, "Hey, pull off here for Dr. whatever."
Captain Spaulding's fried chicken.
There you go. Yeah. Something along those lines. Or potentially, as we walk in, is the facade, like literally walk into the ride, like but that like House of a Thousand Corpses was, and then when you walk in, you gotta get that first like indoor scene where you have like Dr. Oddfellow like running his circus or running his freak show. Like, give me
I think he'll be leading us in.
Yeah. Like, give me a lion.
Welcoming
Like,
us.
give me a like walk in. You see like a lion tamer, but instead of the tamer taming the lion, it's the lion eating the lion tamer type of thing. But
yeah, so must-haves in this then. So we're gonna get some sort of Jack being killed kind of thing with the cane of souls.
I put a Jack reference. Definitely did.
We gotta have that in there. I think it would be cool if, like you mentioned, like the circus center, like the little ringleader, the dirt in the stadium.
Yes.
I think it'd be fun to walk through that as a scene with both sides on us. I mean, they've shown in the past, i.e. puppet theater, how tall they can make these scenes.
They can.
So I think
Or
they have the
underground.
space and the capabilities to do that. I put some sort of like Carney trailer backstage lot kind of thing where we're kind of going through that. I think Dr. Oddfellow's got an office somewhere, like a creepy, sleazy, snake oil salesman style trailer.
I put like a voodoo zodiac kind of room. Kind of like with the big like seance table in the middle, all that kind of stuff.
Maybe in his trailer, his office or something like that. That's what I kind of think has to have in this. I mean, this thing is going to be chock full of Carney murder references.
I definitely want some of those like sideshow like characters you guys were like talking about too, like the
Snake
freak show like
charmer,
S characters. Yeah,
Bearded lady,
definitely.
the tattooed guy.
right,
I
so
think the kids-
classic stuff that everyone thinks of, but like put his spin on it, put Oddfellow's spin on it.
I also would like to see the 3 kids that Jack referenced that Jack killed being referenced in this. I think that's going to go. So I think they're going to either have
boxes,
in the
the
stagecoach,
trunks.
they're going to have the trunks put up in some point. Yeah, exactly.
I also think they need to do, and not do it in an overt way, but put references to all the scare zones in it.
Yeah, tie it
so
in a
like
little
tie
bit.
it into all the scare zones. So like,
It's just a flyer.
Never thought about that.
like whatever's like on the plane, the jungle one, like whatever that company is, like put that on a box somewhere, and just like small little references that only the people that are really looking for it are going to find it. But kind of throw those in, so that way it ties the scare zones in with the house.
Yeah, I'm in on that. So let's move along now to the darkest deal. Now this one's similar to the Blood Moon, where it's like
this one was
there's
kind of
not
hard.
This is
a
the
crazy
one.
amount of things
Yeah.
that I can pull
Yeah,
from.
this is my Boris house.
Yeah.
This is the one that I think could turn out to be the biggest surprise for a lot of people, specifically me.
I love the way that he looks after seeing the
image of
illustrations.
the collector,
Oh, he
quote-unquote,
looks
the collector.
so cool.
Really, really
I
cool.
love it.
So, the facade. When we walk into this, what do
Gas
we think?
station.
You think gas
Like
station?
Western, like Route 66 style abandoned gas station or abandoned store or something like that. You have a classic car out front with the engine running.
I like it.
Lights on. Maybe you hear like out of the radio is coming like bluegrass music, blues music, like jazzy blues, stuff like that. And then kind of like the Texas entrance, but less Texas. That guy's sick. It looks cool.
He looks super
And Nick
fun.
is showing me the
I'm showing the picture of the darkest
of the
steel
collector. So
collector.
that's what I think of. I think of that, or maybe walking into like a honky tonk, like a
That's what I
saloon.
put.
That's
I put
what
a
I put.
concert.
That's
Yeah,
what
so go ahead.
I
Like, I'll
put-
let you go. I don't want to
Yeah.
step
I
on
put
your
walking
toes.
into a saloon, and he's going to be sitting there at the Pine Straw. Susie's going to be sitting there at the bar, talking to whoever, maybe trying to tell him what's going on, what he's doing, and all this kind of stuff. Maybe he can't find his way, and then he's like, "Oh, maybe you should get in with so and so," and all this kind of stuff. But I see that kind of walking in through those opening the slammy doors. You know what I'm talking about? The old timey
Saloon
doors.
doors.
Like, the saloon doors.
Yeah,
Yeah,
they swing
exactly.
both ways, yeah.
Kind of that rundown-esque with the music playing in the
'Cause I
background,
think
the
of,
blues music.
I think of
I pictured it in my head better
oh
than I could
shit.
explain it.
Oh my god, the vampire movie with Salma Hayek and
From Dusk Till Dawn?
From Dusk Till Dawn.
Yep.
That's what I think
Yep.
of. Something like that, like like not a
Love
honky
it.
tonk, but like that like just south of the border type
Exactly.
type thing.
Yeah, I view it as like going into a concert, but I see Pine Straw with his band playing.
Okay.
And they're bad. Because that's the whole
Yeah.
point, is like he sells his soul to be a
True.
good musician. So like
Yep.
we're gonna transition from him being a very mediocre band that's barely, got 10 drunk attendants in the little saloon to, being a megastar. So I think that's where we kind of have to start the story, where it's the old Pine Straw just trying to
I did have a
make his
musician
way.
room too on here.
I hate his name. I still hate his name. I still hate his name. It's so stupid.
So must-haves in this house. What do we think for scenes and settings and characters?
I think, well, just like you said, we need a bar scene where they're playing
Yep.
music, whether they're playing badly or he's playing good or whatever it is. We need some sort of like dank, dark, bluegrass type bar. People are like watching him play, or he's just playing, kind of like the Weekend House or the scene in
Spirits?
Coven,
Yeah, where they're singing.
where it's like the
all
20s,
schwanky.
yeah, but southern bluegrass.
Yes.
Like from the 70s type deal or 80s.
Yeah.
Give me that. I think we also need a big open like stretch of highway scene. Like make it look like the highways are going
That
like
would be
forever.
cool.
like do the mirror
That would be
effect
really
where it just
cool.
feels like you're crossing the street and you see him like kind of like talking to the devil
At a crossroads, yeah.
at
Yep.
a crossroads. Yeah, and kind of like in that mood. Like keep it Route 66, keep it late at night, keep it from that area of the country, keep it like down by you type stuff.
I think we have to go to hell at some point.
That's
Yeah,
what I said.
yeah,
I said
yeah.
the entrance into hell, and I said kind of like a lair for the collector, where his
Debts
where
are
it, like his
collected.
den kind of little thing, where his
Yeah.
debts exactly. Mhm.
Yeah, all I had for like musts was like the concert. We need hell, and maybe some recording studio scene. I think it would be fun to like do the two-way, the mirror setting where the band is over there and Pine Straw is maybe in the editing booth with the collector, and they're kind of discussing their trade or whatever. But this one is definitely kind of open for interpretation because there's a lot of
For sure.
question marks. So let's move along now to The Last of Us.
Oh boy.
What do we think our facade or entrance into this house is going to be?
Very
Pittsburgh.
industrial.
It's mostly so. This is supposedly all set in Pittsburgh.
Yeah,
That's what I thought.
Pittsburgh, like,
Part of that chapter of the game, I guess.
I probably like an outdoor scene, kind of like we got with Chupacabra, but like more post-apocalyptic,
Industrial leading into
Industrial.
a warehouse, foliage
Yeah.
overgrown kind of deal.
like rundown cars,
Yep.
that type of thing. It is not. It's really. It,
I hate
it
to say
sounds
it.
like not a lot.
It sounds like Descendants. I hate to say it, but
Yeah,
very similar
kind
to
of.
Descendants is how I'm picturing it. Maybe not the entrance, but definitely some of those dark industrialized settings.
I could see us entering, and I know this. I think they're gonna bend a little bit because they say it's gonna be just Pittsburgh, but with Texas Chainsaw, they said it was the original, and we ended up getting stuff from Part 2 in there. So I think we're gonna bend some stuff here. I think the entrance would be a cool way to bring us in. Would be like a QZ zone entrance, where we're kind of going through the security and you have the guards from Fedra and stuff like that on the sides. So I think that's how. And I know that they're not part of Pittsburgh, but I think we're gonna bend it a little bit here.
I feel like you have the most insight on this one because I haven't played the game, but I've watched you play a little bit of
played
it,
a
so
little
it's
bit
kind of
of it.
hard to.
I got frustrated because my game file didn't save, and then I stopped playing it. That was that. So
I don't blame
I'm
you.
trying to remember back to all of the Pittsburgh stuff. I know that's when we get
A lot
more
of it's in the very
characters.
beginning of the game. A lot of the Pittsburgh stuff is very. Someone's probably going to scream and tell me I'm wrong, but I think most of the Pittsburgh stuff is very big early game.
Yeah.
But
And that's when we get a lot of the, I forget the term that they use, but the pillagers, essentially.
Yeah.
The humans. I think we'll have the scene where they're in, like, the little grocery store, and they get kind of swerved. Joel and Ellie were driving, and, somebody's like, help me. And they're like, no, and then they throw down, the spike track. They crash the car into the convenience store, and then that's where Joel and Ellie
to
are
be
caught
honest
in
with
a
you,
shootout.
it's very Walking Dead-ish. Very Walking Dead feel, because Walking Dead's the same idea where it's like the scariest part about that is the other humans, not the zombies. So it's the same idea here, where the scarier part of the show is the game is the bad humans, less so than the monsters, because the monsters are monsters, that's what they are.
They're just there.
But the humans, you don't know who you can trust. Type
Especially
deal, so.
with the new season of The Walking Dead that came out, the spinoff, I actually watched it. It's the only iteration I've watched of it, but I feel like it's going to be kind of similar in settings because this one is in like post-apocalyptic like Manhattan, and I feel like it kind of has that like overgrown like feel to it, like I was saying before, with all the foliage and stuff, and I could just see the similarities in that is how I was going off of it, trying to think of some of the stuff.
Yes.
I know it's Pittsburgh, but still.
Yeah, so I think we'll also get the, like, kids' room scene. They kind of go underground.
I
And they
saw
find
when you
this
played
abandoned,
that.
like, children's room with toys and stuff like that.
That part
So I
looked
think
cool.
we'll get something along the lines there. We're obviously going to have to stick a bloater in there somewhere.
Yeah, I put
think
that.
I'm trying to remember what scenes were in which chapters, but I think there was this one real abandoned area where you kind of get split off from Ellie as Joel, and it's almost like the basement's sort of flooding, and you have to get the power back on. But then there's like bloaters waiting around for you, and then the runners will come in. So I think
What are
there's
they? Bloaters and clickers and.
bloaters, clickers, runners.
Gotcha.
The runners are just kind of the fast, not fully infected. The
Gotcha.
clickers are more infected. They can't see, but they can hear you.
That I
So
like
they make that-
those. They're cool. Yeah.
They're like if you've played Resident Evil, they're
Reminds
like
me of
the
Left 4 Dead
lickers.
too.
It is. And then bloaters are the ones that have been infected the longest.
Gotcha.
They can kind of shoot out big, like, balls of spores.
I hope they do.
So there's
Oh,
going to be
yeah.
a bloater for sure. I mean, that's going to be in there. So those are some must-haves for The Last of Us. So let's move along now to our last house. This is going to be Universal Monsters Unmasked.
Yay!
How are we entering this house? Because they're kind of like 3-0 right now on entrances for these monster houses. We had, going back to Bride, we had that great castle facade.
No, the Bride was the best facade they've had in these houses.
Yep. And then last year was
I
pretty good
think.
with like the dig site. It was very big.
It was gorgeous.
scale.
It was.
So
Yeah.
what do we think the entrance for this one is? This is going to be taking place in the Paris catacombs.
Yep.
So how are we getting there?
So I think we're gonna be walking into.
We're going to be descending into
on
the
a city.
catacombs.
We're gonna
I
be
think.
on a city street. City street. You're gonna have the Eiffel Tower in the background. Maybe Notre Dame in the background. The Arc de Triomphe in the background. Something like that, and then we're gonna be walking down
Yes.
into the catacombs.
That's
what
exactly
I think we're
what
gonna
I
be
put.
doing.
And I hope they make it somehow that it could seem like we're descending into it, and you're walking in, and it's all the bones and the skulls
Yes.
on the walls.
Oh yeah, the walls are gonna have all the skulls.
Yep.
It's gonna be Yep.
That's what I put. I put the catacomb skull walls, and I guess the story is Jekyll and Hyde and Invisible Man are sort of sneaking into the catacombs for whatever reason, and that's where they kind of
Why are they in
find.
France?
Yeah, I don't know, but that's
Explain it
where
to me.
They're so
Phantom
funny.
and Hunchback have kind of been laying low. So I think we're gonna start off almost with Jekyll, Hyde. And
I also
Invisible Man.
think that we're gonna be on the side of the Hunchback.
Okay.
I think we're gonna be on his, like, not his side, but we're gonna be like, he's gonna be like the good guy, quote unquote, in this story, and there's gonna be something between him and Phantom that brings Invisible Man and Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. Those two are not here for a good reason. Those two are that dude's an asshole. So he's here for nefarious purposes. But yeah.
Yeah. So what are some must-haves? Because there's a lot of characters. I think everyone's gonna kind of get their
The
own.
problem with underground is it's tough when you do underground stuff because there's not a lot you can do facade or not facade, but theming wise when you're underground.
So we have to break out of the catacombs.
Yeah,
at
I
some
think
point.
there has to be some point where you're outside of the catacombs.
So I think we break through. I think that the catacombs like exit. I think we're gonna pop through into the opera.
That's
into
right.
Phantom's
Yeah, we're gonna
area,
come
and
up
we'll get
underneath the
Phantom
opera.
scenes there.
Yes,
We'll get
yeah.
the organ and this big elegant thing, and then I think we're gonna transition from there into like the bell tower. We have to have every character has to sort of have their own like scene.
They've had the bell tower. They'll do it again.
Yeah.
They could definitely do it.
I mean, the only ones I think because we're going into we're going into Hunchback and Phantom's domain. I think they're gonna get their stuff. I don't think we're gonna see like a laboratory for Jekyll and Hyde.
I don't think so.
I
No, I
put
think
that.
they're. I think
I
they're
actually
there.
put that.
Yeah.
Like they're there. Invisible Man is there, but we're gonna get the setting of it's gonna be a battle or something along those lines between Hunchback and Phantom for whatever the story ends up being, and you're gonna have those other two kind of brought into the story. So you're gonna get those two settings, I think.
Yeah. So
It's kind of like last year with like for Doctor like Dracula.
mostly Mummy's
like
setting,
Dracula,
but he was
yeah.
there.
Like he's just there.
Yeah.
Because he's the puppet master. Okay, fine. But it'll be that type of thing where you're gonna like you said, you're gonna have the opera house, and then you're gonna have the Notre Dame with the bell tower.
I think Invisible Man's going to be slinking around in the catacombs.
Yeah,
I think they're going to use some strobe effects to really highlight his face. He's
Yeah.
going to have the wrapped up bandage face. He's going to have the suit on.
he's a
I
weird
think-
addition story wise.
I love it. I think it's going to be, there's going to be maybe like a sewer area in the catacombs that we're going to go through that I think he's going to be slinking around in there. I actually thought that they would maybe put a Jekyll and Hyde kind of laboratory thing down there or something like that. It'd be cool to see
Yeah,
that.
maybe I could see
But
that.
Wow. Yeah. So that is our kickoff to our 1 week until Halloween Horror Nights Podathon.
One
we got
down.
a lot more episodes coming for you. Every single day we are
We
going
have
to be
something
dropping
for
an episode.
you every day of the week, so your work week won't suck. And then guess what? The weekend coming up, the day you're listening to this, this weekend, we all get to see each other in the fog. So
What a
The
treat.
following weekend, because this will come out on Friday.
Oh,
leading
true.
up to the event.
Sorry, leading so the end.
But we aren't going to leave you until we
Right.
see you in the fog.
There you go.
So, before we go off, let's announce our winner.
Oh yeah.
We did our raffle. We took a little video of it. We will be posting that tomorrow, or at least we'll be posting it over the weekend.
At some point after you listen to this episode.
I want to just announce the winner on the episode, and then we will reach out to them. I just kind of like it that way. It's fun, and then we will post the video so that way everybody knows we did the fair wheel of names and stuff like
Yes.
that. But we've drawn the winner for our Unmasking the Horror 3-house tour with us. And the winner, should I go with the Twitter handle or the name?
Oh, it's a good
It is
question.
a
Twitter handle.
Do a Twitter handle.
person won.
Do the Twitter handle, and then if they have the name, just give them the name too.
The Twitter handle is Be With a Camera, Party Princess John Wick. I don't have a real name to congratulate you with, but that's what we're going to go
So
with.
congrats.
So congratulations. We are going to be reaching out to you. We will find a date. We will square this all up. And I hope you're listening to this episode, and I hope you are stoked, because this is a great, great little tour that we got ahead of us. And I'm very excited to be doing the 3-house tour this year. We do the 6-house normally, and we kind of just forego the 3-house. So I'm excited that we're going to be venturing out onto this one, because we get, I believe, Dr. Oddfellow,
Darkest
Last of Us,
Deal.
and Darkest
Yep.
Deal, which are really cool ones that I would have been bummed out if I
Yeah.
didn't get to see the behind the scenes with. So congratulations. We'll be reaching out, and tune in tomorrow. We will be back. Tomorrow we are going to be going over our expectations of all these houses. Are they going to exceed expectations, or are they going to underperform? And not necessarily underperform, but are we hyping up something more than we should be? So we're going to discuss that tomorrow. Well, until next time, which is tomorrow, this is Nick.
This is Seamus.
This is Jamie.
Happy Halloween Horror Nights week.
It's cursed. Cursed. It's got a death curse.
You know, it's Halloween. I guess everyone's entitled to one good scare, huh?
And again, I would just like to thank Vampire Stepdad for letting us use his music for our intro and outro music. So if you would, just go check them out. Spotify, Facebook. Again, that is Vampire Stepdad.